Clearly this girl didn't get the memo because this isn't a TED Talk. This is Senator Ted Cruz that you're talking to.
I wanted to take a moment to celebrate our newest addition to the Supreme Court of the U.S., who I know we've already talked about, Justice Jackson. Since you're here tonight, though, in the name of fostering intellectual diversity in academic spaces, it would appear to me that you already recognize the importance of new perspectives. And as a young woman, seeing Justice Jackson on the Supreme Court is invigorating, truly. And on Tuesday, it baffled me that you would ask such flagrantly racist questions to this exceedingly well-qualified candidate. Your colleagues in the GOP promised a respectful and dignified hearing for Justice Jackson, and to me, you did not uphold this. So today I wanted to create a space where you might be able to challenge your own thinking, as prudent scholars often do. So I'm here to ask you, what are two nice comments you can give about recent nominee Justice Jackson's judicial experience, besides from she has an easy smile?
Yeah, you racist. What's the comment?
My boy Michael Knowles sitting up there. And she better count her blessings that Mike doesn't stand up and rebuttal whatever nonsense she's about to spill, because I can already tell she said it's invigorating, truly, that she's so proud as a woman to have Jackson, an exceedingly well-qualified candidate. You mean the lady that doesn't know what a woman is? Really?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of the-
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
So I'm just a little bit confused. Somebody make it make sense for me. What exactly constitutes as meeting the requirements? Just a baseline, let alone exceeding them, like this girl said. Because in case you're late to the party, Ketanji Brown Jackson is the woman being referred to. She's the most recent Supreme Court justice, the highest level a judge in the United States can reach, the pinnacle. But this lady can't for the life of her define the word woman, not even in layman's terms. This is the ideal role model that these kids are looking up to. Land sakes, y'all, we got a whole lot of work to do to bring sanity and common sense back to the forefront. I wonder why she isn't happy for, Amy Coney Barrett as a woman. She was brought in a few years earlier, but it must be because she's rocking the same color skin tone as you, right? That level of melanin or lack thereof that you pay attention to clearly. That wouldn't possibly be acceptable to approve of white people, now would it?
What's wrong with you people?
Well, let me start by thanking you for being here. And thank you for asking a substantive, important question. Thank you for engaging in a conversation. I think we all would be better off if we engage in substantive conversations. There's a lot to praise about Judge Jackson. She is very, very bright. She is very, very accomplished. She is very talented. She has an impressive and inspiring personal story. I will say, sitting listening to her opening remarks, where she described her personal story, she described her parents' journey. You had to be dead not to be inspired by that journey.
I haven't heard that story, so maybe I'm being a little harsh on Miss Jackson, but from what I've seen.
And listen, I will say more broadly, if you look at the history of our country, if you look at the history of our country on race, it is absolutely inspiring to see an African-American woman serving on the Supreme Court. I will also point out that when it comes to issues of race, I think both the press and the modern left are hypocritical on this question. That they only define someone as black, or they only define someone as Hispanic, if they agree with them ideologically. So, Clarence Thomas has been on the court for decades.
Since the early 90s.
Clarence Thomas is a black man. The left hates him. They despise Clarence Thomas. And I'll tell you, by the way, the treatment of Clarence Thomas on the left is markedly different than, say, Antonin Scalia. Antonin Scalia was brilliant. He and Justice Thomas were every bit as conservative. And yet, the vitriol that was heaped on Clarence Thomas, nasty, racist language from the left. There was one magazine cover that showed Clarence Thomas as an Uncle Tom sitting at Scalia's feet. I think was racist and disgusting. And listen, I will say this as an Hispanic man. As an Hispanic man, Jorge Ramos went on television in Spanish and described me as a traitor to my race for daring. Okay, look, that says something about the view of the left, that they're telling you you have one way to view things and one way only. And if you don't, we'll demonize and attack you.
Yep.
So look, and by the way, in terms of having the first African-American woman on the Supreme Court, there was an opportunity for this to happen 20 years ago. There's a judge named Janice Rogers Brown. Janice Rogers Brown was a Supreme Court justice on the California Supreme Court. George W. Bush nominated Janice Rogers Brown to the D.C. Circuit. At the beginning of his presidency, he nominated Judge Brown to the D.C. Circuit. The Democrats filibustered Judge Brown. That filibuster was led by a guy named Joe Biden. It also included people like Chuck Schumer. It included Pat Leahy, included Dianne Feinstein. The reason they filibustered Judge Janice Rogers Brown is because she was a black woman, but she was also conservative. And they did not want her to go to the Supreme Court. And they succeeded in filibustering her. They delayed her nomination for a couple of years until it finally went through. She finally went to the D.C. Circuit. Everyone who was harumphing in the media that if you oppose an African-American woman who's a qualified judge, you're a racist, precisely 0 of them thought it was racist for Democrats, including Joe Biden, to filibuster Janice Rogers Brown.
You ever wonder why? Oh, Joe Biden is for the black people, right? If you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
But why wouldn't you allow a conservative black person to get into the Supreme Court? Oh, that's right, because that wouldn't fit the narrative. That wouldn't fit the propaganda that y'all push. If you don't line up with these leftist views, with these radical secularist ideologies, then you have no rights. You got the First Amendment right, but only if you side with the left, with the oh so tolerable left that, they put up with anything. They love everybody unless you go against them, unless you have a contrary opinion and argument with some actual facts, but they don't want to hear that. These people on the left are evil and conniving and always trying to twist every little thing to fit their agenda. But in reality, they give you all these open-ended promises, the black community, the white, the Hispanic, everybody. But what do they really do when they get into office? Joe Biden's been in office for 50 years, literally in politics for 50 years. What has he done? Can you name one positive policy that he's brought into fruition for any community that has really enhanced and elevated any sort of society, any low income, impoverished neighborhood and community? Just one. Like, because these people literally every time something doesn't go their way and skin tone is involved, everything under the sun is racist. Like, you can't even enjoy a good old fashioned dark roast coffee without some of these people being like, why it's got to be dark roast? And don't you dare not put creamer in a coffee and call it plain black coffee, because then they'll be like, oh, no, we can't have that. They'll have you thinking World War III is about to go down in these wokey woke mindsets.
By the way, there was another nominee that Bush put forward, a guy named Miguel Estrada. Miguel is an incredibly qualified Supreme Court advocate. He was nominated to the D.C. Circuit as well. The Democrats filibustered him. If you read the memos that were leaked from Ted Kennedy's lawyers, here's what Ted Kennedy's lawyers said about Miguel Estrada. They said, we must stop him, quote, because he is Hispanic. That's what Ted Kennedy's lawyers said in writing. Now, I'm going to suggest to you, if you oppose somebody because of their race, that is the definition of racist. And look, I'll point out in your question,
Gotcha.
You said that my questioning of Judge Jackson was you used the term racist. Listen, racism is a horrific evil in this country. It is also an insult that the left tosses around casually. I would welcome, if you look at the questions I asked Judge Jackson, every single question I asked her concerned her record. Either her record as a judge, sentencing defendants before her, or her record writing academic materials and law reviews, or her record giving speeches to law schools. All of that is the job of the Senate in the advice and consent process. And so respectfully, I could not disagree more deeply when you say it is racist to examine a judge based on their record. If the Democrats wanted to oppose Janice Rogers Brown because they oppose conservatives, do you think the Democrats were all sexist when they voted party line against Amy Coney Barrett? I'm willing to bet you don't, because she's not a liberal woman. So you can't have it both ways, which is that when a Democratic nominee has a certain characteristic, anyone who opposes them is racist or sexist or what have you. But when a Republican nominee has those characteristics, it's open season and you can go after them full force, and the left is righteous in doing so. The standard should be the same, and I'm going to suggest what the standard should be, is we should examine people based on their actual record and whether and to what extent that record demonstrates they will defend the constitutional rights of all Americans. I think that's what people care about.
Amen. Pretty self-explanatory to me. Stop with the double standards, retire the hypocrisy, tuck it into bed, have the same qualifications and requirements across the board, not based on somebody's skin tone, based on whether they're qualified for the position. That goes for any field, whether they provide value, whether they're going to uphold the United States laws that are, the constitutional rights that were established way back from our founding fathers, that they were put in that position of power to uphold. If they're not going to do that, then they shouldn't get the position. It doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter man or woman, conservative or liberal. Uphold the law. Stay true to that. But I have no doubt in my mind and complete faith that this is all going to work out however it's supposed to. These people will find out that when you go woke, eventually you will go broke. And no matter what, at the end of every single day, the only way that any of us have real peace and have a chance at eternal salvation is by fixing your eyes on Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior, and getting right with him in his house. This is all his house, all his creation. So if you're leaning on your own understanding and leaning on these, trying to cancel people, cultures based on them having a different belief than your radical secularist views, you're going to get exactly what's coming to you. The truth shall set you free, and what comes out of the darkness is always light. Light will always win. So no matter what these people try to make up and how they try to dox people saying something that they disagree with, usually when it's a conservative that says something, they jump through a million hoops to attempt to find some kind of damaging info about the person, and then they put it on social media, and then it just conveniently somehow cancels the need to deal with the actual issues that are right there in front of them, and it challenges their thinking. They don't like that. They don't like when you bring foundational truths to the table, because they don't have a truth. Their truth is relative. It's flying by the seat of their pants and varying day by day. And their response is always outrage rather than rational arguments. And it's very sad. I pray for these people. I pray that they wake up to truth and stop living in this lie, and they repent, turn from their wicked ways, confess Christ as Lord, and go out and get baptized and start living in a reality based on truth, based on love, based on peace, really loving your neighbor as yourself, not just loving your neighbor or pretending to just so you can get something out of it, but truly going out there and witnessing to people and bringing people to the kingdom. Because at the end of the day, you can have whatever title and label and riches and fame and acquire all the things that you want to, but without the truth of God, without eternal salvation and having that peace of mind, at the end of the day, you don't really have anything, because we're all going to die. We're all on this side of the grass one time. We get one life, whether that you live to 1 year or you get to live up to 120 years max. You don't usually see people living to 120 anymore, but no matter how you approach life on a day-to-day basis, you're going to die. We're all going to die. But where are you going after is the real underlying question. And if you don't make the right decisions and choices and have faith in a real perspective on this whole thing, instead of all this little minute racism, petty little details that you try to make up and promote as important, but in reality, grand scheme of things, they're not, it's going to be a sad ending for you. You're either going to heaven, which the only way to that is through Jesus Christ the Son, or you're going to hell. People don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. So you better figure it out. But that's all I got for today. God bless Senator Cruz. God bless Michael Knowles, everybody who was at that event, even that young lady. Pray for her, at least that she showed up, had a civil discussion. She didn't lash out. She didn't bash and belittle and interrupt Ted when he was talking. So I appreciate that fact. I would love to hear what y'all got to say down below in the comment section. Let's keep this conversation rolling. Don't forget to like this video by smashing the thumbs up button down below. Subscribe if you're not already. Ring the notification bell so you get notified anytime I post a video, just in case YouTube forgets to let you know. I appreciate you. I love y'all for doing so. If you want to take it a step further, you like what we're doing over here, you want to show a little extra love and support, by no means do you have to, but you can get awesome designs like this Godfidence, knowing I can't, but he can. These designs are made over my wife's Etsy store by her, customized in-house, all of that. Insulated tumblers, petite teat, small sizes to big and hefty for the 5X folks out there. All different sizes and colors. Like I said, we don't discriminate. We appreciate y'all. It goes a very long way in allowing me to continue to do what I do. All my other links are down below in the description section. Shout out to the Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee fam. Anybody who's ever joined the Gibson family on YouTube by hitting that little join button and becoming a member. I'm so grateful for y'all. I can't thank you enough and put into words and context just how appreciative I am for you guys showing up every single video and allowing my freckle face to rant at you. I just love y'all so much, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I'll be praying for you. Until next time, Godspeed. I'm gone.